It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Kruse.
Welcome to the show. Spring is here, and so is allergy season, and I know there's a lot of you that can relate to that. Boy, I have been getting pummeled by allergies this spring. However, I still find time to get on the water and go for some spring hikes and watch wildlife, and I know a lot of you are not only doing that, but also boating and maybe turkey hunting too. This week on the show, we've got some great guests for you. In just a minute, you're going to hear from Nate Suratt. He's the man behind Trophy Addict, and he has come up with a way for you to get your big game out of the field in a way that is going to look great for a taxidermist. After that, Robyn Boerstling with the National Marine Manufacturers Association is going to join us and talk about the impacts to the boating industry that we're seeing because of these tariffs that have been imposed on China, not to mention the overall economic situation we're facing right now. After we chat with Robyn, we'll check in with Brian Lynn with the Sportsman's Alliance. A lot of bills are making their way to governor's desk. Some of them are good for us as hunters and firearms owners. Others, not so much. And Brian's going to break down exactly what's happening across the country in several states. Last and certainly not least, we're going to check in with Brooks Hansen with Camp Chef. We're going to ask him what he's cooking for dinner this Easter weekend and talk about spring turkey. Basically, getting that turkey from field to table and making it taste great. Brooks has got one recipe in particular that sounds mouth-watering, to say the least, when it comes to wild turkey. Throw in a little outdoors news, and we've got a great show coming your way. So let's get this Easter weekend edition started off with our first guest of the day. We are taking you to Utah. That's where you're going to find Nate Suratt. He is the owner of Trophy Addict, and he makes some really good products if you are trying to get your big game that you just harvested out of the field. Nate, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much.
So I understand you just attended a show in Denver. How did that go?
Yeah, Denver was a new stomping ground for us. We wanted to really get to more of the West area, and it was an okay show. We were expecting a little bit more for that show, but overall we met some great clients, some great vendors, got our foot in with some new outfitters and different companies throughout that area, so that was good for us there.
Now, you make products called trophy socks for deer, for sheep, and for elk. Explain what these are and why, as a big game hunter, you're going to want them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the trophy sock, it is one of those things that everybody kind of forgets when they're hunting of how to appropriately take out the head and cape of an animal that they harvested. Most everybody's thinking of the gun they're going to bring, the binos, the gear they need from food to sleeping bags. Until they kill that animal, they're looking at that deer, elk, sheep, bear, mountain lion and go, oh crap, how am I going to get this back without making a mess all over my pack, keeping it together without slopping or unrolling and falling on the ground, having to retie things up. What these trophy socks do is make a nice little package for you to be able to strap on the outside of your backpack, inside of your backpack, so everything is right where you want it. Your weight distribution is just perfect the whole way. You're not having to fight the cape, the slop, the droop when you're hiking out of the hills.
I like it. Well, let's start off with your deer trophy sock. It retails for just under $50. Go ahead and describe the features of this.
Yeah, absolutely. So this one is our original. This is what we started with. It's a canvas. It has a protective nylon piece that goes over the eye guards, so it's not able to puncture through the canvas bag, so you can reuse this bag. This product weighs about a pound, and you throw the head in, roll up the cape right behind the head. You have an overlapping canvas piece that you overlap with a buckle system back around to the front, and then you can attach that right to any of your backpacks. It's super nice to be able to just hurry and click it in, tie it in with ropes, whatever you want. You're not worried about burning the face of your animals. Keeps it all safe. Keeps your taxidermist happy when you get it back to them. You're not having burned faces, turned up hair, dirt and grime inside the hide.
All right, and a step up from that is your backpacker deer trophy sock. This retails for $88. What's the difference between that and your original?
Yeah, so biggest thing when we're backpacking is weight. This is a ripstop nylon material. It has the same features as our original canvas bag. The biggest difference is your weight. Okay, we went from just about a pound on the canvas one to 8 ounces. So this thing really gets lost in your backpack. It is a tough, durable honeycomb ripstop fabric. So if by chance you are able to puncture this fabric, it's not going to be spreading, running, going any direction. You don't have to patch it. It's going to be just as good as it was when it was new.
All right. Well, switching to bighorn sheep, you just happen to have a trophy sock for those too, don't you?
We do. So this sheep one, this is an amazing product. Those sheep that people are getting, it's either a once-in-a-lifetime hunt or you're paying top dollar to go with an outfitter or into a different country to be able to hunt these animals. So this really helps keep a full body cape right where you want it, keeps it tight, keeps it right close to your back so you're not having to fight that. You want that animal to look pristine when you get it back from the taxidermist. This is what's going to do it for you.
Last but not least, and this one's on sale too for just under $125, your elk ripstop trophy sock.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is brand new this year. We had a canvas one that we actually sold out of. The demand was high for these, and we got some good input from clients and outfitters that they're like, hey, we need to make this one lightweight as well. So we added a few more things onto this one to just make this thing 100% bulletproof, from our canvas one to our ripstop. This one, the canvas one that we had was about 1.5 pounds. This one is only 12 ounces, wow, carrying anywhere from 70 pounds of elk to up to 120 pounds with the cape and the head and the antlers and everything. This thing has side containment buckle systems that hold that hide in super tight. It has bright orange strapping on it to keep safe out there in the hills while you're walking back with those big antlers on your back.
I love it. Now, last question here. Can folks buy your products in any stores, or is it all online at trophyaddict.com?
So we are starting to branch out into different stores here in Utah at Humphreys Archery. We are located at all three of their stores, Payson, Salt Lake, and American Fork. We are starting to work with some different companies throughout the West that are going to be carrying them. So we will have that information hopefully in the next year. But right now it is through all online sales other than those archery stores here in Utah.
So I've got to ask, obviously you've got these species specific, but wouldn't they work for other animals like bear or antelope?
Absolutely. So our deer trophy sock will fit a black bear, it will fit an antelope, and it'll fit all your deer species. It'll do mountain lion as well. We've even had some guys even put a wolf inside of them, which is absolutely amazing. These also are great for backpackers and horsemen, so you can throw this right on your saddle or in your backpack. Makes it awesome. Our elk trophy sock also will do Shiras moose, grizzly bear, elk, caribou, and your stags. They are absolutely amazing for those.
All right, folks. Well, if you are a big game hunter, whether you're after deer or sheep or elk, check out the trophy socks. They'll definitely make your pack out a lot easier and a lot less dirty. The website again, trophyaddict.com. That's trophyaddict.com. Nate, thanks for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Hey, thank you so much.
This portion of the show is brought to you by our friends at WorkSharp. And if you are hunting this fall, you know the importance of a sharp knife. You're going to need it for gutting that animal, butchering that animal, taking the hide off that animal, and there's a good chance you're going to have to sharpen it more than once while you're doing these things in the field. That's why a pocket knife sharpener or the guided field sharpener from WorkSharp are great items to have with you. Whether you're after deer, elk, pronghorn, or bear, a sharp knife helps you get things done after you drop that animal. Look for WorkSharp products at sporting goods stores, hardware stores, and ranch and home stores near you, or online at worksharptools.com. That's worksharptools.com.
I'm Anthony Imperato, president of Henry Repeating Arms. Patriotic Americans are looking to protect and provide for their families, now more than ever. Henry has over 200 rifles and shotguns to choose from, made in America or not made at all, and backed by a lifetime guarantee. Go to henryusa.com and order our free catalog, decals, and a list of dealers in your area. That's henryusa.com. Thank you, and God bless America.
Explore the Dalles, the hub where discovery and history come together. Whether the Northwest is your home or you're on an adventure, the Dalles welcomes you. Just 80 miles east of Portland is the perfect year-round escape with a community that cares about you. 300 days of sun, breathtaking outdoor recreation, and a downtown full of the unexpected. Oh, and the rich history that began before the Oregon Trail. Start planning at explorethedalles.com.
Hunting and fishing are exercises in hope. Before you head into the woods, you hope to tag out on a deer you'll have to field dress. Before you make that first cast, you hope for a big fish to clean and fillet. When your hopes are realized, you'll need a sharp knife. Whether you sharpen that blade on a power sharpener in the shop or a manual sharpener in the field, Work Sharp has the tool for you. Look for Work Sharp products in sporting goods stores near you or online at worksharptools.com.
John Kruse here, looking to improve your bottom line as a business that caters to outdoors enthusiasts. You can do so for a very cost-effective price by advertising on America Outdoors Radio. I will tailor a marketing campaign for you, reaching hundreds of thousands of listeners every weekend, tuning into our show on 135 stations in 33 states. We've got a sponsor opening right now, so contact me through my website at americaoutdoorsradio.com, and let's talk about helping you. You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. There's a lot of uncertainty in terms of economics with all of these tariffs, especially the big 145% tariff that's been imposed on China. And one sector that's concerned about this is our marine industry. With us here to tell you more about this is Robyn Boerstling. She's with the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Robyn, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, John.
Why don't you tell our listeners what your organization, the National Marine Manufacturers Association, is all about?
Sure. We are affectionately known as NMMA, and we are all about the boating industry. Boating is our business. We are the leading trade association for boat builders, engine makers, marine accessory companies. Many are small American-made businesses.
So let's talk about these tariffs. So we have a 20% tariff that was already in place with China, and now President Trump has imposed a 125% tariff on top of that for a total of 125%. Now, I remember during the COVID pandemic, it was really difficult to get parts, especially electric parts for outboard motors, because those electric parts were made in China. We had all sorts of shipping issues. Are these tariffs, if they continue, going to cause similar issues of availability, or are we just going to see a dramatic increase in prices to the consumer?
Well, I can say that we're watching this trade conversation very closely and engaging in it also very directly. It's obviously something that has, significant and far-reaching impacts for the industry. You referenced the COVID experience and supply chain impacts, and obviously we are very concerned, but at the same time, we want to see if there are opportunities, for us. Can we piggyback off the auto sector? Is there a chance for an exclusion, as we saw, a late Friday evening announcement related to smartphones and other electronics. So each of our members really has their own unique supply chain, and they are making adjustments. They're watching this closely, too. We talk to them very regularly to understand these impacts and communicate those impacts to policymakers very directly. So I can't make blanket statements about, exactly what the impacts are going to be on the tariffs and, what each manufacturer experiences. But we can tell you is that recreational boating is a uniquely American-made sector. So 95% of boats sold in the U.S. are made right here in the U.S., and we think that is a strong advantage, as we advocate.
So what are some of the things that we are having to import from China? Again, I remember it was basically electronics for the outboard motors during COVID, but let's talk about marine electronics like fish finders and things like that. Are those made in China or are they made in other places?
The supply chain is very diverse, and I think, from the COVID experience, based off anecdotal evidence and conversations I've had with marine manufacturers, that the supply chain certainly has been diversified since the COVID experience. But at the same time, NMMA is advocating for balanced, targeted, and fair trade policies that protect domestic manufacturing and really understand the supply chain so that we can limit the impacts on marine manufacturing and ensure that Americans can afford to enjoy the water.
Let's talk about being a boat dealer. It's not an easy thing as of late. During COVID, everybody wanted a boat, but because of supply chain issues, they couldn't get a boat. And then things got a little bit better after that, but then we saw all the rising interest rates, and that made it really tough for folks who wanted to buy a boat because of the pricing. Have those interest rates down? I know they haven't really budged for housing, but what about for boats?
The interest rates are still, fairly high, but we also believe that consumer confidence can be just as significant and important. And so as consumers perhaps rebuild confidence in the times ahead, we want to see boat sales, track that economic sentiment and as well as address some of the inflation concerns. So you're correct that record boat sales occurred during the COVID-19 pandemic, and since then, the market has normalized a bit, but with all that said, January 2025 showed some very early signs of growth and opportunity. Retail sales were up 1% year over year. So at the early part of the season, consumers showed optimism, but we're also going to watch this very closely. Springtime is here. People around the country are starting to think about boating and being outdoors. The outdoor recreation economy is very strong in this country. It represents, 1.3 trillion of economic activity. This outdoor recreation economy is uniquely American. It's significant, and recreational boating is a big contributor of that, about $230 billion.
That is an impressive number. Speaking of boating, Robyn, are we seeing more participation as of late? I mean, I know a lot of folks are getting into kayaking. I know a lot of folks are, buying pontoon boats. A lot of folks are buying fishing boats. Is that translating to a bigger sense of community around the nation?
Sure. There are more and different ways of getting on the water. And Americans love being on the water. They love making memories, unplugging, connecting with the community that exists on the water, fishing, water sports. There's so many different things to do when you're on the water and just have a great time. So there are boat clubs, in addition to, the traditional way of owning a boat, going to a charter, right, and utilizing the services of a fishing finder app, such as to, get out on the water and go offshore fishing. So I think, despite broader economic pressures, the interest remains very high in recreational boating, and it's more accessible than ever.
Now, in 2025, NMMA came out with a State of the Industry presentation, and one slide in particular I thought was pretty interesting. It had what is good in the industry, what are we cautious about in the industry, and what is troubling in the industry. And the good news is nothing made the troubling segment, but there's quite a few things that the industry is cautious about. So one of them we just talked about was interest rates. The next one, you're going to have to explain this to me, because you were cautious about RV inventories and cautious about new private housing starts. What does that have to do with the marine industry?
It has to do with consumer sentiments and consumer confidence, right? So boat sales closely track economic sentiment and inflation worries. So it really is an area where we have some caution. But as I mentioned earlier, boat sales showed some early signs of a rebound in early January 2025 this year. Retail sales were up 1% year over year. So there's some green shoots there. But also, NMMA is focused on maintaining water access, improving infrastructure, and advocating for fair and reasonable regulations that support economic growth. So there's some optimism, too, in I would say, the regulatory environment. Perhaps, with more permitting efficiency, you can have additional infrastructure, marina expansion, marina improvement efforts. Also, we're optimistic about tax reform and extending the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017. That is a here and now conversation happening in Congress, and we advocate for pro-growth tax reform and low individual income taxes to ensure that businesses can thrive and Americans have, money in their pocketbooks to enjoy recreational boating.
Well, I like that, and I like what you're doing in terms of lobbying for those things in Washington, D.C. If folks want to find out more about the NMMA, what's the website they should go to?
NMMA.org.
Very easy, folks. NMMA.org. That's NMMA.org for the National Marine Manufacturers Association. Robyn, thanks so much for sharing all this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Got to give it up for our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. They've come up with something very unique. It's the Garden Gun Smoothbore 22 caliber lever action rifle. Now, the Henry Garden Gun is one that you use if you are trying to deal with mice or maybe snakes on your property. If you live in the city, this isn't going to work out for you. But if you live in the country and want to get rid of some of these pests, this is the perfect rifle for you. It uses a 22 caliber long-range shot shell, and because it's a smooth bore and doesn't have rifling, it distributes the projectiles in a really tight pattern. Throw in the fact it's got a 15-round capacity, and there's plenty of pest control to go around. It's like all of the firearms from Henry Repeating Arms. It's made in the USA. It comes with a lifetime satisfaction guarantee. Check it out at henryusa.com, and don't forget to ask for your free decals and catalog while you're there.
Looking to reel in the marketing opportunity of a lifetime? Then set the hook, because we've got it right here. America Outdoors Radio has sponsorships available, and we offer an affordable platform to reach thousands of listeners interested in fishing, hunting, and the outdoors. Find out more by contacting host John Kruse through his website at AmericanOutdoorsRadio.com. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. But hurry, if you wait too long, this big opportunity might just get away. That's AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We've got Brian Lynn on the line with the Sportsman's Alliance. That is the organization that fights for our rights as hunters and anglers and firearms owners here in the United States. Brian, great to have you back on the air.
Hey, great to be here.
So quite a bit of news has been coming out from the Sportsman's Alliance, and I guess we'll start off in Colorado, where basically Sportsman's Alliance Foundation sued several members of the Colorado Fish and Wildlife Commission.
Yeah, this was, if you remember last year, there was a big fight leading up to November Election Day. There was a ballot initiative in Colorado brought by Animal Wellness Action, which is Wayne Pacelli, who used to be the head of the Humane Society of the United States. That's his new organization. Once he kind of left the Humane Society, he started that. And this was his first big move into replicating what he did at the Humane Society, and that's attacking hunting, fishing, and trapping through the ballot box, because he knows all you need are those big cities. And Colorado is one of those that's on the verge, much like Washington and other West Coast states, easy to tip over into, where their paradigms align. And so this ballot initiative was to end mountain lion and bobcat hunting pretty much permanently, not just with dogs, but with pretty much every way to go. And so, of course, sportsmen are fighting this and trying to get the truth out there. And two current commissioners and a former game commissioner wrote an op-ed in support of the ballot initiative and spoke a bunch of myths and lies, basically, and saying, we don't need to hunt mountain lions or bobcats. Gosh, they even said some ridiculous things like houndsmen starve their dogs to increase their prey drive.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was absolutely crazy. Well, at the same time they're saying these things, they're saying that they are held as commissioners to a higher standard than just mere opinion. Well, we found that laughable. But on top of that, Colorado has very strict open meeting laws. And so for 2 or 3 commissioners to get together to write an op-ed, they would have had to have talked, which subjects them to open meeting laws. And so we've sued them for violating that, sued the individuals and the commission itself. And so, they're receiving some training on what actually they need to be aware of when they're doing these open meeting laws and meeting to discuss things and put it out there into the public. And, I mean, this seems pretty self-explanatory, but they're receiving some more training on the regulations that they're actually responsible for crafting and putting out there to the public.
Well, that is a win there. But on the other hand, some not so good things are going on in Colorado and also the state of Washington. Colorado's actually passed this. Washington is poised to. Basically, you're going to have to get a permit and do training before you can even purchase a firearm. Is that right?
Yes, you have to get this permit, and before you can get the permit, you have to go through many steps. It's a 4 12-hour class, in-person class, safety course that you have to take. Your Hunter's Ed doesn't count for this, so it's on top of Hunter's Ed. It has to include live fire training. Is the criminal background check, the increased criminal background check. And what both of them have in common is undecided fees. They don't say how much it will cost, a minimum or a maximum, so that could, who knows what, they could price people out if they wanted to. And in Colorado, the sheriff can still deny the application if he's justified. Washington, we have the fingerprinting, the increased criminal background checks that also go with the background check when you buy it, and the universal background checks here in the state. And those are the same as when you apply for a concealed carry. On top of that, in Washington, we already have a 10-day waiting period.
Right.
This permit to purchase will also require live fire training. And again, no maximum or minimum fee for each one of those steps: application, fingerprinting, background checks, live fire training, the class. Washington State's facing a $1 billion deficit in coming years. You don't think they'll see that as a place to make money?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Washington State, the legislature is already raising money for hunters and fishermen by 38%. That bill's on its way to the governor, as is a bill that's going to raise the Discover Pass by about 50%. So, yep, they are.
Yeah, and that just, in Washington, that just passed the Senate this week, and will go back to the House for concurrence, which it will undoubtedly pass because they already passed it once. It's just looking at a few amendments. And then undeniably, Governor Ferguson will probably sign that. So it'll be passed in Oregon, Washington, and Colorado.
Let's head to Georgia, where a couple of interesting bills made their way to the governor's desk for signature.
Yeah, Georgia, it's a pretty good state for sportsmen for the most part. They've just kind of increased a few things. Hunters can wear fluorescent pink if they want. If you're fashionable and would like to wear fluorescent pink instead of hunter orange, you can now do that in Georgia. They also created a new recreational migratory fish endorsement that's $10. And they've extended the use of these new high-powered air guns that, you can use for big game. And so you can use that now in Georgia for big game hunting during the primitive weapon seasons.
Yeah, and I was, surprised. I mean, Georgia is obviously a very red state when it comes to hunting compared to Washington State and Oregon. But, the House bill passed for the use of air guns for hunting 171-3 in the Senate by 52-1. So definitely a pro-hunting state there.
Yes, must be nice.
One other state we should mention is Arizona, where 2 detrimental bills were heard by the Arizona Game and Fish Commission. Now, these bills were submitted by the Center for Biological Diversity, which is definitely an animal extremist group and anti-hunting group, and they wanted to, number 1, remove a pursuit-only season for bears, mountain lions, and raccoons, and remove dogs as an allowed method of take for bear, lions, rabbits, squirrels, predators, and other fur bearers. That hearing took place on April 11th. How did it go?
Well, thankfully, the Arizona Game Commission is a very good commission, and they rejected those petitions out of hand, and we'll see what Center for Biological Diversity decides to do next. They have 75 lawyers on staff, so they like to file these and then file lawsuits right afterwards. So we are watching and waiting, and we'll take action when we need to.
All right, and South Dakota had some bills that made it through too, didn't they?
Yeah. A couple of the big ones there, again, are firearms. It's a very pro-sportsman, pro-firearm state as well. And they've signed one that prohibits merchant category codes, is a big one that we've been watching for the last year to year and a half, 2 years. And Colorado's already authorized merchant category codes, and so is California. But now we're seeing a bunch of other states, red states in particular, line up to prohibit them. And a merchant category code is if you go in to buy a gun or ammunition and you use your debit card or credit card, it would get assigned a specific merchant code that would designate it as firearms or ammo. Right now, it kind of just gets placed under a general code of sporting goods items. And this actually, when they do create this, it creates a de facto firearms registry that the government could get into. And so we've been fighting those bills where they've popped up in a couple of states as much as we can. And it's nice to see states like South Dakota and other states preemptively jump on that. They've also increased their preemption laws that voids any covenant that prohibits or restricts firearms and ammo. So we saw this last year. They created a bill in South Dakota that said, no, your HOA can't keep you from having guns or ammo and anything like that. And that was going forward. This one goes backward and voids anything that's already been put in place. And then they've done a couple things, make it easier for non-resident military members to waterfowl hunt and different things like that. So it's a friendly state as well.
That is good to hear. Well, the Sportsman's Alliance, again, is always keeping you as a hunter, an angler, and firearms owner in mind. If you want to find out more and join this great organization, I have, you may want to do the same, just go to sportsmansalliance.org. That's sportsmansalliance.org, and let them continue to do the great work that we need them to do. Brian, thanks so much for what you do, and thanks for sharing this today on America Outdoors Radio.
You betcha. Thank you.
Ready to step up to a quality-built rifle or shotgun that's a true classic? Check out Henry Repeating Arms, American-made. There's over 150 models to choose from in a variety of finishes and calibers for hunters and target shooters. Many of these are lever-action models with a classic look right out of the Old West. Don't be deceived, though. Henry Repeating Arms are modern, rugged, reliable, and have a lifetime guarantee. Find out more and order a free catalog today at henryusa.com. That's henryusa.com.
Come explore the Dalles in Oregon for outdoors fun. Hike amongst the wildflowers, bike our riverfront trail, or visit the Gorge Discovery Center where you can enjoy a live raptor display, or even check out our National Neon Sign Museum. But don't forget the fishing. We've got salmon, steelhead, bass, walleye, and monster-sized sturgeon waiting just for you. When the day is done, tell those tall tales at one of our wineries, breweries, or restaurants and plan your next adventure. Find out more at explorethedalles.com.
Modular. When it comes to getting the most out of your Camp Chef 2-burner propane stove, that's the word to use. Sure, you can cook directly over either burner with a pot or pan, but how about putting a grill box on to serve up burgers, steaks, or chicken? Put a griddle on to cook up your breakfast. Pizza? We've got that covered too with our pizza oven that you place right over the stove. Whatever you're cooking while camping or at home, Camp Chef has got you covered. Find out more about modular stove accessories at campchef.com today. When you think of Work Sharp knife and tool sharpeners, you probably think of sharpeners for the shop or the field, but Work Sharp has a whole lineup of sharpeners for the kitchen too. We're talking about everything from easy-to-use manual and electric knife sharpeners to ceramic honing rods, whetstones, and the new rolling knife sharpener, and innovative manual sharpeners that will do wonders for your cutlery. Make sure there's never a dull moment in your kitchen. Check out the entire product line and order today at WorkSharpTools.com. That's WorkSharpTools.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, a lot less, but people are actually happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MetaShare. Maybe you've heard joining MetaShare can save you or your family up to $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true. People are just happier with it. They love being part of something that reflects and promotes their values and what they believe in. MetaShare works, too. It's been around for 30 years now, and members have shared more than $7 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network, so Yeah, really, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care, whether you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan that you're happy with. Here you go. You can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. It's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
You're back in with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We've got our old friend Brooks Hansen on the line. He's with Camp Chef. And this being Easter weekend, Brooks, I've got to ask, what's for dinner?
Oh, man, that's $1 million question right now, John. My wife and I were just discussing, what are we going to cook for Easter? And so we opened up the old freezer and went through a couple things that we had. And I think we settled on a tri-tip. We're going to do a tri-tip for Easter Sunday. Going to smoke that bad boy up, then reverse sear it on the sidekick. Probably season it up with some Camp Chef all-purpose seasoning. So, yeah, I think we're going to go tri-tip.
That sounds fantastic. I like, I got to admit, that sounds better than the traditional ham that you put in the oven.
You know what? We'll probably get roped into maybe throwing a ham in there just for old time's sake, but I'd like to mix it up a little bit. I mean, I definitely love to celebrate Easter, and it's a big part of our family, and so we want to eat well. And I just thought, it'd be fun to do a tri-tip.
Well, I think that sounds great. But something else that sounds great is turkey, because turkey season is going off in much of the United States right now. And I thought we'd have a discussion about field to table when it comes to spring turkey. So you're out there in the woods, you've just shot your turkey. What's the first thing you do, especially in parts of the country where it's warming up pretty quick?
The first thing I do is get up there and look at that rope on it hanging off its chest to see how long it is, to see if I shot the right bird. Because that's what everybody wants to do, is brag about how long the beard is.
That's true.
And see what type of spurs it is. No. So first thing I'm going to do is take it back to the house after I've, maybe gathered pictures and done whatever. I'd say even in the warmer weather, get it, if you have a cooler or some ice, just get it somewhere where it's cold. Traditionally, I would like to hang it. If you've got a place that's cold, that you can hang it if you can't butcher it right away. But as soon as you can, because I know turkey hunt, you might kill one bird and you might have a buddy with you or a kid, or maybe your kid killed one and now it's your turn, and you're going to spend the rest of the afternoon playing with birds and you don't have time to process it right away. Get it hung if you can, or get it in a cooler that's going to cool it down a little bit. Go finish hunting, but I'd say within that same day, get that broken down. So I'm going to breast it out, pull off the thighs and legs, and just get them into a cooler and let them cool for a day or two before I freeze them. So clean them up. Traditionally, we're going to eat it right away, though, just because turkey breasts, they can go a long ways if you stretch them. But if you're going to feed a lot of people, you could eat that right away. I was just at a turkey camp last week in Texas, and we shot some birds. We put them in a walk-in cooler. That day, we pulled the guts out, put them in a walk-in cooler, let them hang for a day. Then we pulled the breasts out and did a wild turkey jambalaya.
Ooh! Tried
to pay ode to the Cajun friends down south, Louisiana style, and man, it turned out fantastic. It was really good. It was a fun little spin to do on wild turkey.
Oh, I love that idea. That sounds fantastic. So it sounds like you're just basically taking out the hindquarters and the breast. You're not messing with the whole, let's pluck the whole bird.
You know what? A lot of people do that for the aesthetic side of it, but when you're talking wild turkey, you're going to cook those parts completely different. A domestic turkey, you can kind of get away with cooking the whole bird.
Right.
But I feel for wild animals, this goes for ducks, geese, pheasants. It's really hard to cook those wild birds the breast the same as the legs and thighs. There's just so much tendons and sinew, and those legs, like a domestic turkey or bird, sits in a pen and just gets raised and gets fat and doesn't really have to use its muscles. So there's a lot more protein in their legs and thighs. And I think anybody that's hunted turkeys knows that wild turkey legs and thighs are a little more lean and a lot more tighter muscles because they're running. They're running from us. They're running from predators. They're constantly moving and eating. They have to work for food. Food doesn't come to them. They have to go find it. And so there's a lot more that goes into that. So, yeah, I'm going to break it down, pull the hindquarters off, like the legs and thighs. You can do it in one piece, or you can break them into two pieces, meaning a leg and a thigh in two pieces.
Sure.
And then, and I'm going to cook those different. That's going to be something that's going to be low and slow to break down all that tissue and tendon and the stuff that really helps them run fast. And then the breast I'm going to pull off, I'm going to cook that a little different. The breast you can do low and slow, but you can also do hot and fast. When I did the jambalaya, I seasoned the breast, I smoked them. Once I pulled them off the smoker, I pulled them off a little like turkey safe zones, about 165. I pulled them at about 155. Then I sliced it and chunked it, re-seasoned it, and put it back in the pot with the jambalaya and kind of caramelized it with the sausage. And let that kind of finish cooking before I added the rice and tomatoes and all the stock and the rice, all the other good stuff to make that jambalaya. So, yeah.
Oh, that sounds absolutely fantastic. The problem with our conversations, Brooks, is I start off okay, and about midway in the conversation like now, I'm just ravishing hungry, and as soon as this interview's over, I'm going to go eat something. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm going to go eat something, and I blame you for this. So just so you know that.
This is the binge interview. Right after me, you go binge.
That's exactly it. Let's talk about some new products that Camp Chef might have coming out this spring.
Man, coming in May, we've got some really cool products. Keep your eyes out for in the tailgate side of things. One thing that was really popular for Camp Chef last year has been our new gridiron flat top. That gridiron flat top grill is best in class. I mean, our engineer team, design team, they just knocked it out of the park with that last year. It's been so well received by our consumers, and all of our retailers have just ranted and raved over how good that this new gridiron flat top is done, just the way the grease management system was thought out, the way that the igniters were thought out, the way that the burners have the box around it. There's just in the lid on the griddle, the way the griddle is seasoned. It's just been fantastic. So we've implemented that and created a new version that I guess I can say this. You'll look for a newer version that's going to maybe be a little more portable, that's going to really appease that tailgate crowd.
Ooh, I like this. I like this a lot. All right. You heard it here first, folks. A brand new flat iron grill from Camp Chef coming out in May. I'm guessing it'll be in the stores just in time for Memorial Day.
It'll actually be a little after. It'll be more like a summer headed into tailgate season.
All right.
So we'll launch it. You'll get a lot of information out of it, and it's probably going to get a lot of information on our website about it. And you're going to see it in retail in probably end of June, 1st of July.
And that website, folks, as always, is campchef.com. That's campchef.com. And, of course, you can find Camp Chef products in quality sporting goods stores and hardware stores all over America. They are everywhere, and they're the best company around when it comes to outdoors grilling. So check them out. Also, you can get 0% APR financing if you buy some Camp Chef products through campchef.com, too. So check out that option as well if you're after a top-quality grill and just don't have quite enough money to pay for the whole thing right now. Brooks, anything else you want to add?
I just say, hey, happy turkey hunting this spring to everybody that's going out to chase a bird. And utilize that whole bird. There's a lot of fun things you can do. Lots of information on the internet on how to cook it. And I'd say happy hunting and have fun out chasing turkeys. And I hope everybody has a happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you as well, Brooks. Thanks so much for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio. Next, you may say that May in Missouri is for the birds, and there's good reason for that. That's when the Missouri Birding Challenge is taking place, May 1st through the 15th. It's being put on by the Missouri Department of Conservation, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and several birding-related groups in Missouri. Participants will compete alone or on teams in different birding categories based on their ages, birding experience, and comfort level. Birders will use an app called eBird to record their list of birds identified at public natural areas around the state or even in their own backyard. There is a fee of $10 to $25 per person or team, depending on the category, and fees go toward migratory bird conservation efforts. Once participants complete a category, they will be entered into a drawing for fun bird-related prizes such as binoculars and gift cards. If you want to find out more about the Missouri Birding Challenge, to include how to enter and how to check out some seminars, just Google Missouri Birding Challenge. That's Missouri Birding Challenge. Finally, we've got an interesting story from the fishing world. A lot of anglers like to use soft plastics, whether they're after bass or walleye or crappie. But the problem with those soft plastics is it takes a long time for them to disintegrate, and if fish eat them, it can be harmful to them. Well, there's a solution to that. Bass Pro Shops has a new soft plastic called BioBait that they've just rolled out. According to their press release, BioBait is truly fishing for the future with a formula containing natural ingredients that are safe for the environment and break down faster than traditional soft plastic baits, making it safe for all aquatic life. The biological formula is composed of plant-based materials that feed back into the environment. It is tear-resistant and lasts longer than most competing brands. When discarded or lost in the water, BioBait continues to break down and becomes digestible for aquatic life. If swallowed by a fish, it does not expand in their stomachs or threaten their health and life. In time, BioBait will completely dissolve, unlike materials used in similar lures. BioBait's also looking to make waves on its effectiveness for anglers. It has a proprietary formula offering a balance of softness and strength that is unrivaled, according to Bass Pro Shops, by traditional soft plastics. Now, it's called BioBait because it actually has a combination of plant-based formula and fish oil, the fish oil coming from menhaden. And right after it touches the water, molecules disperse from the bait, which includes that menhaden fish oil, to create a perfect cloud of attractant. Look for BioBait at Bass Pro Shops and Cabela stores near you and give it a try. We'll all have to see how they work. And on that note, it's time to go. But here's wishing you a very blessed Easter Sunday. And here's hoping you get to spend some time on the water, in the woods, or in the field. After all, it is your country and your outdoors, so get out there and enjoy it.